Hello, everybody. This is a commentary analysis of a Salado Fargo reported match between myself, Sean Lewis, Fargo 668 at the time of the recording, and Jeremy Barker, who's a 498 Fargo. Was trying to get more serious at pool. Took a lesson, had some good results. So we're going to go a little further in depth here and analyze his 9-foot table 9-ball game a little bit with a little bit of heat that I'm going to provide. These types of things I think are very beneficial for kind of like watching yourself play under a competitive environment, which is a lot different than practice, and I even say it's certainly different than league. I wouldn't say it's not competitive in the league is not competitive. League is definitely competitive. Just a different scenario. Just having two people in the room playing and having it have some meaning. I certainly want my Fargo to go up, so I'm trying, and it makes people behave a little differently than they would with nothing on it. And I think that a lot of us are trying to learn what that secret sauce is, including myself. Got away with that little bump there. So if any of y'all are interested, you can email us, contact me in the comments below. Get a hold of us on Facebook, Easy Street Billiards. We appreciate you, and all this is just because we're trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. Partly getting better involves getting out there and recording yourself on video and putting it on a Facebook page link and or the YouTube search algorithm, and then someone can watch you play pool. And then you can watch yourself forever, anytime you want to come check it out. Especially if you've gotten better, you can go back and watch yourself play from several years ago, and here you are, and now you've gotten better. So I overrolled my position on that 4-ball shot, hooked myself on the 8. And now here's Jeremy's second attempt. That first combination attempt just a little bit off line. Here we're going to slow roll this ball. Just overcut it. First game jitters is normal. Jeremy's not a 9-foot table player. Kind of found me through the leagues system, and mostly plays on the bar table. So the 9-footer is going to definitely be exposing a little bit of extra discomfort, which I think it's good to feel it and then learn how to deal with it. So part of learning how to deal with something is learn how to feel it. Then eventually you'll realize it's not something that even needed to be felt anyways. It's just part of the game. We do it so we can get some excitement out of it, and with that excitement comes a little bit of discomfort. And that's why I do it. I like to hit balls. I like to get better. And I like to play games, and pool is definitely a game. Alright, so I went for that bank shot. Didn't succeed. Left him a cut in the side. Here. Could play safe, I suppose. If you can roll the 5 past the 8 and stay behind it, that could be a shot. I'm not sure. I think that's what he does here. Which is a good shot. Pretty good shot. 5's in the open. Could kick one rail at this ball. Not much good can happen for me, or even if I was to make it, the 6 is tied up on the 7, so I'm definitely not trying to sell out, and then by kicking at the ball, it's likely to end up over by the 6-7, so you may be able to deal with it. So I'm thinking about all that stuff when I'm going for this kick shot. But I figure if I can make it, then I got something I can do, and then the cue ball is going to travel over towards the 6 if I use a little bit of extra speed. I'm not sure if it goes. Might be able to stun forward the cue ball and then play the 5, 3 rails around. You could play the 5 into the 7 and still play the cue ball behind the 6 and shoot the same shot if you don't have the angle. Good shot. Pump the 6 in to play better. The 6-7 combo is a little bit easier here. So I just like to kind of survey the scene and look around before I decide what to do. Anytime it's a little bit tricky and there's multiple different options, see what's available first, then make a decision based off of all the stuff. So here pretty much all you can do is just go for it, I think. On these longer shots when I'm close to the rail, I like to stand back as far as I can and then kind of get low as I go towards it, just so that I can maintain like a better perspective. Especially on the 9-footer bar table, you don't get quite as far away, and it seems like that extra little is a lot. It's still helpful on a bar table though to get back as far as you can, so you can clearly see the shot plane and the pathway of the ball and all that from a little further distance. Once you get down on the ball, it's much more difficult to look up and see exactly where you were lining up before. I don't know if I'm going to try to make this combination. Yeah, I was trying to bump it because it just seemed easy to bump it. Yeah, so I'm just going to shoot the 6 all the way down. Yeah, and I just bumped that combination mainly. It's totally makeable. But if you're already kind of the natural path of the 5 was to go over there anyways, instead of trying to work around one of the obvious pathways of the 5, I just chose to incorporate it into the shot and then do a little bit of extra work by, kind of predicting where the balls are going to go. Obviously, you want to be mindful of what's going on when you choose to move some stuff around. Alright, so on those 8 here, just going to move forward, come back off the rail. Every shot, I just try to make sure I visualize and run through the same process. My shooting system, I just try to make it kind of the same and consistent. Doesn't matter the shot. I find that helps me, because if I watch myself play and I'm not being consistent with my stroke, then that means that I'm maybe in a different place mentally where I'm not remembering to do that. And that's an indication that I'm a little bit compromised maybe, and either distracted or letting some negativity get me off of what I'm thinking about, which is focusing on being consistent with my rhythm. Good chance for a break and run here. After getting on the 2, I'd like to get relatively straight on the 3 to give me more options. If I'd gotten a little bit straighter, I might have tried to draw straight back. The way it is now, I can go forward. And then if I had gone a little bit to the other side, even deeper, then I could have went to the rail and back out, and all 3 would have been totally fine. Kind of in the 50-50 here, where I want to be a little bit closer to draw the ball, because I'm like stretched out, and I wasn't able to be as aggressive going forward, which is why I ended up with the angle like this. So I'm going to have to play a little bit of a different shot than I might have wanted to, but this is good. It's just going to require me to be more speed control, because I'm trying to stay where I can draw from the 6 to the 9 instead of or punch up there, rather than having to do too much. So I got a good angle and just nice draw stroke to pull up there. Two to 1 or 2 to 0, excuse me. One thing that is good to watch is watch your break stroke. Yeah, I see the tip went a little bit to the left. And the typical way that the cue ball will respond when you hit to the left is that means the tip is hitting the left side of the cue ball, which is making it squirt to the right. So on that shot, the reason why I went to the side rail of the cue ball is what I'm speaking about, is because the shaft hit not in the exact target spot that you wanted it to. So one of the first things that you really want to do with your break is learn how to stroke straight through the ball and add a little bit of power. So if you need to modify your stance and your swing a little bit to accommodate that, then it's a good idea to do so. That'll just add a little bit more consistency to your break. If you feel like you can't swing hard enough to get a lot of power without really forcing it, then a little bit more technique practice might be good. Just working on opening your stance and opening your swing, making a little bit more room down there, keeping your hand away from your body a little bit, your elbow a little bit more away from your body, kind of swing across your body, swing your hand towards your shoulder rather than try to hit the ball. I just know that as you swing your hand towards your shoulder, that hits the ball. And then that can allow you to have a nice smooth motion, because it's on a different rail. When you're not trying to control it, you're just using the natural swing of the arm. just a touch more English. The 3/8 is not so easy. And then where the 3 is kind of tough to get at. So I'm going to try to play into that window between the 9 and the rail. And really I'm trying to go into them, I think, here. Just to kind of create an opportunity. In these Solano matches, I'm working on being more aggressive. I try not to play safeties unless it's necessary. And obviously, it can be necessary. But I'm shifting my philosophy towards just trying to run out more often as my style and not play as many safeties. But I've been playing a little bit more pool and getting more solid, so I think that's a smart thing to do, is as you advance your game. I hit that a little bit too hard. I was trying to play the 3 to the end rail. You can cut this to the left. Being elevated over the 9 makes it a little bit tricky because you can't really hold it. And then the 4 being over there and the cue ball's likely going to kind of just go to the rail. It's okay to play safe here by just, banking that like that. That was a good shot, other than the scratch was unfortunate. So as much as I can, I try to play the line of the cue ball path into, a generally good percentage area that's on the shot line. That's like the zone of the shot that you want to be on. Going into the zone and not across the zone, if that makes sense. Like this shot, I'm going into the zone because I want to maintain the side of the table that the cue ball, I want it to go to the left, go to the side rail, so I want to keep the pathway on that side of it the whole time. Same thing with when I shoot this 5. I want to be going forward and then back across and not potentially interfering with the 8. So I'm making sure to maintain these angles as best I can. Obviously, if you have to make adjustments or when you make a mistake, it is what it is. But I think that for me, trying to play the highest percentage shot when you're competing is smart. There's no need to be cute when you're competing. Yeah, I didn't want to risk getting a little bit weird on that 7 ball, so I just chose to draw out. But now, of course, I have to go do something a little bit different. And that was just low ball, no right English. If I would have put right English, then the cue ball would have turned a lot more. But I wanted to get to that spot, so I didn't use the English. Three zero. So traditionally, if there wasn't all the blocking balls, I'd like to play this with a low left and go 3 rails. But as it stands, I got to go across the shot line and play for the left side of the 2, and then play the speed very precisely so that I don't overroll and underroll, because I need to be relatively straight in, but if I get straight in, it's going to be tough. I want just a little bit of an angle. Which I got straight in, so I wanted to play the 3 in the same corner as the 2, but now I gotta play that short side into that far corner past the 7 to try to be offensive here. And then also gotta play shape for the 4 ball on the same shot. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna play for that particular spot. Like I said, just visualize watching the ball go, and then just hit it with the proper swing for that shot. It's roughly straight in here, just a little bit off angle, I think. Left myself a little bit too much of a cut, I think, to hold it. And leave it where the 8 isn't in the way. So now I'm going to play a little bit of left English and play to the side rail behind the 7 and then behind under the 9. That's what I was trying to do, but I got lucky. Got to the point and then ended up with a pretty good shot on the 5, considering. So I'm always looking for the natural position that flows from like what the cue ball is easily going to do. And on that shot, I was actually trying to play for this, the side pocket. Came up short. I didn't want to come across the line of the shot to shoot this corner shot. I ended up just like perfect, but like super close to the ball. I had to punch it out when I got there. One of the things that is really important to do is to let go of the next shot before you shoot the next shot. You gotta be like, I don't even know what happened on the last shot. This is the shot that I'm shooting now. So that you can release any mistakes or errors that cause you to get to where you're at. Like on that 7 ball, I was out of line really from what my goal was, but the actual shot that was there was actually pretty doable. I just can't make it as easily without releasing the energy that I have from that last shot so I can move to the next shot. You want your game to flow from one shot to the next, and if you still have residual from the last shot, you can't flow because you're holding stuff back. Once the shot is over, you gotta reset and completely and go to the next shot. Have a ritual at the beginning and the end of every shot, and you like complete one shot and you move to the next. Yeah, he's elevated here. I would probably just use a draw stroke, and it looks like he'll draw straight at the 2 or just a stop shot. Not sure if I'm going to go for it here. The 4 is not easy to get to by shooting this, but maybe I'm doing it. Yeah, maybe that would add some better success with shape had I made it, because I hit it too full. So contemplate that. I like shooting the combo on the 9 here. I wouldn't say it's a free shot, but definitely it could win versus trying to run all 7 of these balls. You could play safe as well, take your chances. Drew between, that's a pretty good secondary safe option. If you notice, rewind that video, you can watch your body movement. A little bit of extra body movement on that, on the stroke. I'm not sure if there's a little bit too much, your hands too close to your body, and that's causing that. I made a good hit on the jump, but sold out a shot here. Pretty good. If you can cut it and go 3 rails back to the middle of the table, it's pretty thin. I don't know, maybe I remember bumping the 9. Yeah, it's a tough thing when you're just having trouble stringing any 2 or 3 or 4 good things together. You just gotta stick with it, stay positive, and know that you're gonna get your chances. And that if your mindset is that you're gonna continue to absorb the information, learn from your mistakes at the moment that they're happening, that you're going to continue to play better for the duration of the whole set. That was a good kick shot. Good speed. Good line. There's always good things to see when you look, oh, what am I doing well? And just know that those things are there and see what you got to work on. And so far I'm seeing that Jeremy's moving and like safety play is pretty strong, and that he's really a little bit more struggling with running out. And partly it's this table, I'm sure, because you do need quite a bit more stroke, I think, to have the firepower to be able to just run out on a 9-foot table than you do on a bar table. Safety play is a little bit more nuanced, and I think that if you're good moving on a 7-footer that you're going to be pretty decent at doing that on a 9-footer as well. I don't know enough about where this ball is to say that you might try to play it one rail and hit it fuller with right English so that it doesn't go so wide. Oh, this is where I'm looking at. I think maybe I should have shot at short side down in the corner because I was trying to find a good spot to get an angle on the 7 from where the 6 is at, and the 8 is kind of blocking it. I want to just watch myself shoot this shot because I want to see my mistakes so I can learn from them. I played this to try to bump the 8, I think. I'm just curious what the stroke looks like. Yeah, I just hit it weird. I don't know if that was didn't look like a miscue. You can use high with the left and go forward, or just maybe punch over. If it's straight in, yeah, just more punch. Yeah, I like the shot selection overall so far. Just not been able to get around the table quite. You know, is being a little bit too results oriented maybe, which is easy to do because you're trying to win. But I hope that Jeremy can see that, you know, the decision making is solid. If you're not executing, that's just something to work on. You know, I mean, a lot of this game is learning how to execute. The strategy itself, if you're a smart person, is pretty routine. There's not much going on. Most of the work involves just working on your stroke, working on understanding, you know, when you apply force to the cue ball, what's going to happen, you know, and then what can you do? Like, what angles do you know are going to work? What speeds do you know are going to work? And then shoot shots that fit within that knowledge, you know. And if you have trouble with a shot, you know, then work on it to where you understand what's really going on so that you can just shoot it without having to like do the math at that moment. So I played it thin off the 8, trying to hook behind the 9. Almost got there, but left this shot, tough angle, cue ball on the rail. Nothing really easy. And you just have to probably high left because you want to hold the cue ball from going down table. So a little left would make this check. Just a touch though. Yeah, a common thing to do is hit it too fully to try to hold it from going down table. I think I'm just going to shoot this, cut it down the rail into this, and then just play the 9 from wherever, knowing that I'm going to be okay. I was hoping to get straight in, but you know, it's fun. It's pick your contact point, develop the vision of what needs to happen, play shape, and then get down on the shot once you see it. Once you see it well enough to where you know that you're going to make it, then you can shoot it. I wouldn't necessarily say to wait forever to where you know exactly what's going to happen. Like, oh, I've got everything dialed in on that shot. You just need to kind of roughly play a spot. Okay, so it's 5-0. So far I've played pretty well, but I'd say that Jeremy's had some opportunities and just not capitalized. At this point, as an opponent to what I'm doing, the most important things become, if you're going to try to come back and win this set, you got to decide, okay, what's actually going to help me win from here? What can I do while I'm sitting in the chair watching this guy play decent or better than that maybe? Playing pretty good, like that shot was pretty solid. What can I do realistically? And mostly the answer is rest and chill and relax and enjoy the show. It's hard to separate yourself from what the other player is doing, but you have no control of that. And one of the things that's really tough about pool is that you're face to face with half of the time you're not in control. You can't make anything happen. And, once the balls start moving, you almost feel like you can get lucky, but it's already meant to be. The shot that happens is just whatever, and you just have to be ready to accept it so you can move forward. Because sometimes they will miss out of the blue, and sometimes they will make a crazy shot, and sometimes they will hook themselves, and sometimes they will slop a ball in and everything will end up perfect and it'll be ABC and it's over. And all that stuff is all, outside of your control. So we just get to chill and rest, and you really want the other guy to play as good as possible so that when you do come back, it's a great story. Be like, oh, well, I was down, but I figured my life out and then started playing better, and I took him out. I was trying to leave myself with a little bit of angle there, but I ended up straight in. But it's okay. We just draw this back. This is almost better, really. There's a bigger window on this side. It's just have to control the draw a little bit better. So I'm kind of looking to see the ranges where I can get on the 7, so I know kind of where to end up, what spot to pick, because you do have to pick a spot on every shot. If you pick a position for the cue ball to end up, and you pick a position for the object ball to end up, then rewinding the tape on that shot tells you exactly what you need to do with the cue ball, exactly what spin, exactly how hard to hit it, exactly the angle, and it's just up to you to be able to replicate that from what the shot that you've chosen is, by breaking it down as deep as you need to understand exactly what you have to do to make it happen, and focus only on that, because that's what's happening. You can't win without making the ball. So when you want to win, you need to focus on making the ball, focus on making your shot, focus on playing position, focus on getting ready to do that. Like when it's not your turn, all you're supposed to do is just get ready to shoot your next shot, to play position for the next ball that you pocket, or play safe as best you can, and rest and relax so that you can save your strength for the battle, which is when you're shooting, when it's your turn. 6-0. Yeah, a little bit of right swing on that break shot. That might be causing it to go off to the side. Alright, so dry break here. So I'm looking at what to do here, how to get on the 2 to the 3 after shooting the 2-4 combo. I'm trying to decide, I think, if I'm going to go 3 rails to the left or just use high ball with a touch of right to go straight down the table. I guess we're having a little conversation. That's part of what's taking so long. A little unforced error there. Probably didn't refocus as much as I should have after the conversation, which is one of the things you gotta be careful about is, especially during like league play, is conversating unnecessarily. It can loosen you up and make you more comfortable, but also, I think in a more competitive environment, it's frowned upon. So, because it is kind of distracting and generally does reduce your play level. So, but anyways, everybody knows that. So what I'm looking at here is I don't really have a good shot to shoot the 1-4 combo. And I'm actually playing, I think, to not shoot the combo so I can use the 4 to get on shape for the 5. Now I'm trying to thread the needle here. Go between the 6 and the 7 and the 5. One of the things I've been working on is kind of visualizing as part of the shot, like the cueing action and the feel of the hit and all that, so that when I get down on the ball, I'm about to strike the ball, that it feels better. That was almost a nice situation there. I just hit that too full, trying to get around that 6 ball. If I would have made that, that would have been probably getting out. At least from the spot that it's at now. So here, just concentrate on where you want the ball to go. Kind of a poke and return stroke. Like to see consciously fall through and then leave your tip, like a straight fall through without coming back on the stroke. You see on that stroke, it was a little bit more like jabby, and then you pull back your hand right away. Something to identify and try to smooth that out. You kind of want to have a smooth transition from your backswing through your follow swing, and then just kind of let your body naturally stop the cue. Don't like use your muscles to stop the cue. Just use the momentum to stop the cue. Here I probably should have played to the end rail and back up, but I tried to play really soft and spin, and kind of fizzled out and died. So I think draw with left is good here. Yeah, and one thing I'm seeing is not taking enough time to center yourself and focus. If you'll see, when I come to this shot, it's a pretty simple shot. I still went over, looked at the line. I'm now visualizing the shot, making sure that I do all the steps and that I give myself a chance. Sometimes when you're nervous, you can forget to do all the steps, and that just keeps you being nervous because it's not everything that you need to do is necessarily being done at the moment. So here I'm elevated a little bit over the 9, so you want to just be playing very simple. If you have to elevate, oh, I guess I'm not. A little bit longer bridge than I think I normally use, though. Hit it a little bit full. I was trying to play to the other side. I think the cueing maybe with the bridge or the long bridge could have been a factor, or maybe just me thinking about it. But yeah, just watch the 9 go in and then build the shot from that detail in your visualization. Yeah, and in that shot, I could tell that I looked a little bit weird. I turned my cue at the beginning of my routine. Six one. A little bit of love for Jeremy. It's okay. One of my mindsets that I like to do is that even though I'm, you want to win. You do want to win. It is kind of nice getting punished for mistakes because it makes you learn faster, realistically. If you're makes you notice that you're making mistakes that you wouldn't have noticed necessarily had you made the mistake and not gotten punished. That's one of the great things about actual competition is that you do get fortunate and you don't pay the consequence for mistakes, but all the time. However, not always, and then your opponent is not as likely, in a competitive environment to just not punish you like they would. So here with the 9 being in that spot, it's important to decide, okay, if I'm going to not bump the 9, then I got to make sure I get to a certain spot. So to take the 9 out of play, I'm going to use a little bit of inside English here, speaking about the shot, so that I can play the 6 and then go to the short side for the 7. Interesting there. It looked to me like I turned before I shot that 7 ball. Like I said, I'm just kind of trying to be automatic, so when I see myself do interesting things, I'm trying to recognize that and then figure out what it is that I did. And then if you can remember exactly at the moment you were shooting it, what you were thinking about, you can take that information as well as a learning aid. Seven to one. Made a ball. Pretty good 1-9 combo opportunity here. Yeah, speaking about early nines and whatnot, the way the game is, the rules of the game are clear that it's a win. So I know that some people don't go for the early 9 when it's there, and that's fine. I would just caution against having a judgment about it when people or like do it to you, when they have, an opportunity to do that, because it's a percentage game, and you don't necessarily like just end up with that's the shot that you wanted to shoot. You shoot the shot that's the best shot. That's a percentage thing that maximizes your potential to win, because that is the kind of the social contract of playing the game and trying to compete with someone. Yeah, we're discussing the break, how I kind of use like a stun break, but I hit it just a little bit across full. So if I'm breaking from the left side of the table, I'm going to just cut the ball to where the cue ball is going to go to the middle of the table. I guess that'd be the same either way, is that the cue ball is going to go to the middle of the table after I break from the wing. I always make sure that I'm settled as much as I need to be. Take my time as much as I need to. Any sort of distractions or whatever. My goal is to not be bothered by any of it. I think that in an ideal world, nothing bothers you. So I wouldn't say that I'm excited about the challenge of it. Maybe I should be, where you want max distractions. Overall, just a little bit, but I actually was pretty happy with that because I was trying to avoid the 6. Although I thought that if I hit the 6, it might make the cue ball go and shoot, so I could shoot the 2 in the side. That was built into the shape of that. I just overrolled one of the two ways. Almost got there. That would have been cool. So I'm going to try to kick this into the corner. Oh no, I'm trying to jump it. That's right. Been working on my jump a little bit. I've been jumping more. I spent the last few years focusing on my kicking game, but I need to work on the short cue. So since I've been doing these Salado sets, I've been doing more of the short cue work. Obviously, I need it. All right, Jeremy's got a good opportunity here. This is where you just shake it off. You realize you got nothing to lose. It's only up from here. It's not going to get more embarrassing. If you get 9-2, you're already thinking that. So now's the chance to put another game on the scoreboard and then realize that if your Fargo is 170 points below your opponent, that statistically speaking, you're supposed to win 2 to 3 games in a race to 9 just to hold serve from what your ability is. So you're playing basically at par already, virtually. See there, the cue stayed longer, which I liked. Yeah, you overrolled it here, but I like how you followed through better and didn't poke stroke like you had if you like was earlier. Yeah, and this used a low right hand English, but yeah, the bridge, and then you really got to put a nice stun on this because it can run away from you, or you can use too much spin and miss. Can be touchy. But it's been a good run so far. Staying down, following through. One thing I like to do when I see myself getting a little bit emotional is think about what actually just happened prior to that and the build up of it, because I think a lot of times you don't release the last shot before you shoot the next shot, and then there's just a tension build up over time. And one of the things you got to be able to do is just have basically a short memory. Every shot is a whole new shot. It didn't even matter what was going on before that. Now is the time to look at what we're doing now. Let's see. Could shoot this combo Yeah, I like shooting the combo if you can manage to keep your cue ball and you leave yourself a shot on the one. Or if it's an easy one, then yeah, you should shoot it, and then you can play safe after that. There's no reason to not play safe when you can just play safe on your next shot. Yeah. I might try the carom on the 3 if it's easy. The 1 will stay over to the left. It's all like natural shape. Yeah, playing safe, you'd probably just bank the 1 behind the 3. Yeah, good shot. Yeah, and then once you shoot your shot, you just doesn't matter if it was good or not. The main thing that I try to take away to reduce judgment is actually, in order to remove all judgment from your shot, it doesn't matter what you do. It can't be good or bad. Like, oh, I did really good there, or I was like, oh, that sucked. Those are both judgments. The principle that I kind of use when I'm trying, as I'm to be better, is to think, okay, what the better way is to focus on the process, which is like your shooting system and your methodology and your emotional control, and then you just play. And mistakes are only mistakes. They expose you to the information that you need to know what to do next, to make a change, to benefit yourself for future scenarios. So they're not things that we should be necessarily disappointed or mad about. It's natural to feel that way just because we're competing and we want to win. However, the reality is that if we're trying to just focus on improvement, there's no bad shots taken. You need to miss a certain number to learn and to acquire the knowledge so that you can just execute automatically. Just miss that ball. If you have to wait to the result of the shot before you get to decide if you did well or not, you're going to live and die on that emotion of this. Your emotions are going to be on your sleeve. It's for pool, because so much is random. There's a percentage of things that happen that are hard to predict, and the outcome of the shot itself is not as important as the process by which you use to achieve the outcome, and by habitualizing, focusing on the process and focusing on the growth, and then taking those mistakes as positive indicators that you're doing the right thing by putting yourself into challenging situations. That long term is a better mindset than worrying about the outcome of a shot. Because there's so many things that go into it. Like that shot right there where the shot itself was really good. It just missed the position by maybe an inch, the line, and then bumped the 6, and that caused it to get stuck behind the 4, which is a little bit of disappointment. But truly the line from what you were trying to do that was acceptable was very small, and you got to be kind of looking at the fact that you almost got there, or that your idea was good, because the idea was good. I thought the idea was good for the shot, and you just got to take it for what it is, which is just one shot amongst hundreds of thousands of shots that you're going to take. And if you can gain information from each one and use that to your benefit, you're going to be better off than someone that's not. That's all I can really say about that, in my opinion. And by reducing judgment, on our own selves, we can do really good. That was pretty good. I had to kind of use a touch there to avoid overrolling my position on the 3, just a low left, but kind of like enough low, but not too much, and then not too much left to get it to turn a lot. Looking good here. I think I win from here. So hope you guys, anyone that's watching, I hope it's got some benefit from my thought process. I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Jeremy, appreciate you, man, for getting out there and playing. I hope you've listened to this. A lot of this stuff is for you, even though I'm talking about myself, but just things that are relevant to this set that you could probably, think about and reflect on, and maybe add a little bit to your game and decide how you want your game to develop, so I can help you with that. All right, y'all, have a great one.